It's live. We're live. Boom. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Trek Central Live for the fifth week of Star Trek Picard. Today, I'm joined by Mr. Ketwolski. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm great as well. So, this week, we're discussing Episode 5, Stardust City Rag. Obviously, this has the great appearance of Jerry Ryan's 7 of 9. We know she appeared in Episode 4. This technically was her big episode. And I've got audio PC. I can hear myself twice. There we go.
Oh, you can?
Sorry, it's coming through the other one.
I can only hear you once.
Brilliant. We're not going too mentally yet. Hello, everyone in the chat. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the live stream. As mentioned, we are discussing episode 5 today. There is going to be some spoilers in case you've missed the giant red spoiler warning there. So if you've not seen episode 5 yet, you've been warned. Turn away now. We don't want to spoil you because this was one interesting episode which certainly got people's opinions riled up, and there's a lot of interesting discussion around this episode, and we'll discuss a little bit later. For once, I'm seeing a very interesting divide between the Trek fandom, and I feel like this is a good discussion topic. So first off, thank you to everyone for checking in for the stream tonight. If you are just coming in, we're discussing episode 5, read with the title there. Feel free to send in your comments and chats via obviously the chat. We're reading it as we go on here. We'll be putting out questions as we go on there. You can, of course, donate, or you can also join our brand new YouTube memberships program, which we've recently enabled on here. And we've got some of these fantastic little cute emojis, which are just hilarious. So if you fancy checking them out, click the join button down below, and it'll bring up the little emojis, which are hilarious. Yes, we are introducing a Pirate Picard one soon, so check back for that. Anyway, Ketwolski, let's discuss the first thing. Have you noticed the divide between the Trekkies on this episode of Picard?
Yes, I definitely have. I would say that this is the first episode that we've had of Picard where an individual sequence has divided the fan base. I think the show overall has done that. Individual episodes have done that. But this is the first episode of Picard that we've had a specific sequence that really divided the fans, who either are totally for it and embraced it and are super, super, super adamantly against it for various reasons, not even one specific one. But yes, it is something I've noticed on my channel, and I noticed it widespread across social media about people talking about that special scene at the beginning, I think is what we're referring to.
It's pretty interesting. Obviously, the nods to Star Trek Voyager, as somebody said in the chat there, is fantastic. I love that, because Voyager is one of my favourite series. But the divide between these episodes is very interesting to see, because it's not like we're seeing like a hate divide or something like that, or how the series has actually divided people. Because every new series of Star Trek always divides people, and that can be considered a good or bad thing. It's good to create discussion from a product you're creating. I think, in my personal opinion, not doing a story correctly if it doesn't provoke discussion. Others may have different opinions on that. However, I think an effective story and show, if it invokes discussion from your audience, that's a great idea. And to me, Star Trek is one of those core principles where they'll promote, or they'll show us a problem, and then the audience discuss it. Like, I'm pretty sure, let's take one of the Next Generation's iconic episodes, The Drumhead. That one there has some pretty good arguments, and I bet there's people on both sides of the field who are for and against the argument Picard made. So for episodes to promote those discussions as well, I think is great. This episode in particular, seeing the discussions surrounding and how people backed the scene, and how they didn't agree with it, but also how people said this episode was one of the best, and then people saying this was one of the worst of the series so far. I find that really interesting, because for me, I really liked episode 5. For me, I'd list it as a good change of pace so far. That's not to say the last 4 episodes have been slow or boring in my mind, but finally I got that bit of action I've been wanting to see, that almost like, oh yeah, we're getting moving now. Things are kicking off and heating up. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, so the action has been, I think, well placed. I think that they've given us little teasers. We had that house fight, I think, in episode 3, and then episode 4 we had the fight with Eleanor / the ship battle, and then this one had obviously a little bit more action kind of sprinkled throughout. So they're kind of increasing the action a little bit with each episode. I definitely like the fact that they're considering that to be secondary, because that's very much a kind of a Trek standard, that the action should definitely be a back seat to the characters on the plot. Something which I think that they definitely are reeling from the feedback when, getting that kind of feedback from Discovery, which was definitely much more focused on the action. Not to say they didn't have characters and plot and stuff like that, but it was much more focused on the action, whereas this one's kind of the opposite of that, which is fine. It's whatever. I do appreciate that particular fact. Now, the question is the action effective? Are the things that are happening on screen still impactful? And I think you're right to say, making a provocative sequence that gets people talking, I think, is great. You don't want to get people piling on you like Game of Thrones season 8, where everybody's the only conversation that's happening is how terrible it is, but you don't want it to be ignored. And I think that is the most dangerous thing when you're developing a product, especially for entertainment. The worst case scenario is nobody talks about it and nobody acknowledges it. So the fact that this is such an impactful sequence and so many people are talking about it, I think is great on their part. And the fact that it's definitely created a bit of a discourse in between people kind of going back and forth about it.
Like, I'm seeing people who praise the series to begin with now saying that they weren't particularly happy with this episode. So it's very interesting seeing the discussion surrounding it. And but yeah, my favorite scene from this episode, which my admin Leo has just pointed out in the chat there, 7 of 9 dual-wielding rifles going out with a bang, essentially. She's not dead or anything. I don't think that. A lot of people are saying that, but no. That scene there, fantastic. I loved it, her just, taking the whole place by storm. It's just one of those cliche action things. Yeah.
It was great. It was fun. It needed to be exactly what it was. And yeah, anybody who's saying 7 is dead is, I think you just need to take a knee on that. There's
have a look in the mirror. Have a word.
Yeah, there's no way they're gonna kill 7 of 9 off camera. Beyond the fact that on her IMDb profile it's listed that she's gonna be in multiple episodes, but the fact that they're not gonna kill her off camera, like that's nor they want to probably kill her at all. Her dying in this would definitely remove their ability to reuse her character in other shows.
It seems like Jerry Ryan is up for coming back. Like, she's been really excited about returning as this, and she even mentioned that in multiple interviews. Right. And also, for those wondering, Jerry Ryan's very active on Twitter. I recommend following there. She did reply to a tweet asking her if she was going to be in more episodes with like a wink emoji, which I think is basically saying yes. I mean, she could have easily said no, but I think she's definitely going to be back. I wouldn't be surprised if she pops up in episode 9 or 10 and, has a stellar entrance and saves Picard once again or something. I don't think we're going to see her next episode. We might see at the end of 7 again, because we know Rikers are coming back soon, so they may not want to clash everything two together. But I say episode 8, 9, or 10, she'll probably pop up again, saving the day, or, doing something with Borg. That could be pretty cool.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. She'll be back this season. She'll have some. I think hopefully we'll actually get to see some more of the Fenris Rangers and find out a little bit more about that, as they obviously touched on it quite a bit in this episode. But I want to see the bases, and I want to see, like, I have no idea what the ship was, the Corsair that she was flying in.
Yeah.
Like, you can't see it at all in the episode 4 because it happened so quickly.
Unless that's meant for a reason.
But right, I think so. I think it was meant for a reason.
Because I know Dom said it looks like the is it the Alpha Flyer or the Delta? Not Delta Flyer. The Aero shuttle from Voyager. Voyager's little shuttle, which we never saw in the series, but it was cut. Right. He said it looked like that. I personally thought it looked like a bit of a modified Delta Flyer in a way. So I guess there might be a reason they've not shown us yet, because we know they would have built the CGI model for that shot anyway. It's just how they angled the shot means you can't see the fighter, but you can see the La Serena and obviously the bird of prey as well. But yeah, I reckon we'll see her again. Hopefully the Fenris Rangers more, because we've been given a little bit of info about the Fenris Rangers, and it feels like we're going to be fed more. And if, in my mind, that's a show done well. Don't give me the entire story straight away. Give it to me in little chunks and let everyone put it together. And that's what Picard's doing so well at the minute. So, yeah, I definitely think we're going to see more of them.
I agree. Not only do I want to see more of the Fenris Rangers, but we've got so many little bits. Like, obviously the main focus is trying to get Soji and protect her from the Zhat Vash and finding out what happened on Mars. Like, that's the main plot, but there's so many world building elements that have cropped up. What is the Romulan Free State? Where did this reclamation cube came from? What's the Romulan rebirth movement? Who are the Fenris Rangers? Who are these seedy underbelly warlords running the Beta Quadrant? Like, what are all these other things? Like, we may not even get good answers to these questions because it is fleshing out the universe more. But you're right to say, like, they're giving us little bits without just kind of giving us an info dump of these are the Fenris Rangers, and then we immediately go to the base, and these are the people there, and this is what they're doing. But it's like teased out in a certain way, which, like, you're right to say, like, it makes me want to know more. And even if we don't find out about it this season, we know we're getting a second season minimum. And hopefully we'll find out more then if that's the case. But I'm very excited.
With people saying about speculation about episode 6, we'll be talking about it a little later. Both me and Ketwolski have some pretty good comments about episode 6. So we'll be discussing it towards the end of the stream. But yeah, activation of cubes. We'll discuss that a little bit later. But yeah, episode 5. I had an opinion. One thing I didn't like about the end of episode 5 was Picard somehow knows of the Borg cube a little bit. I was like, why does this man who's been retired for like 20 years suddenly know everything? I guess, it could have been, or has been there for longer, because we do know from the lore. It just seemed like a bit of an odd thing. I would have liked if he didn't know anything about it. It's like, what are the Romulans doing with the Borg cube? I just felt like him knowing it, all of a sudden, this was like almost ruined the mystery of it a little bit. Like, I was under the impression maybe the Federation didn't know the Romulans had the cube or something. but Picard knew about it, so it's like,
yeah. I think it's, and this is my kind of interpretation because they haven't really touched on it too much. We know from the lore that it arrived right around the time period of the supernova event and that landed inside of Romulan space. And they've kind of maintained control over this damaged Borg cube, and they kind of control it there. Now, where it physically is, we don't actually know where it's at in the galaxy. The only thing we know right now is that it's in Romulan space based off of the discussion that they had at the end of the episode. But my interpretation is that everybody knows about the cube because of the fact that like Soji and all of those other scientists are not affiliated with the Romulans. They're most likely either Federation citizens or external citizens. So there's obviously an agreement with these governments in order to allow these researchers access to the site, but the site itself is controlled and owned by the Romulans. So I think that everybody kind of knows about it, but it's just one of those things where people don't like. I don't know. It's like
I guess when you say it like that, it does make sense because we had like the Trill Polytech complex. I forget the name off the top of my head. There,
right.
She mentioned it in there. And obviously, Trill is associated with Federation. I think they are member of Worlds. Yeah, so it's obviously very weird. And I just felt it like a bit weird. Like, oh, how convenient he knows of the Borg cube, which they need to go to. For me, it was a bit of a cliche. Like, oh, he knows everything. I understand how it makes sense for the story. I just personally felt it was a bit like, oh, it could have been a bit more mystery there, like the characters not knowing what to expect. Obviously, Picard knows the Borg cube, but it just felt like it's almost like he knows what he's walking into, in a manner of speaking. Now the question is, does he know Hugh's there, etc.? I don't know, because I hope the meeting between Hugh is going to be impactful, because those characters supposedly haven't seen each other for over 25 years almost.
Yeah, it's possible that because I think it was a few years, very short period of time before Picard retired from Starfleet that the Borg cube came up, and I can't remember exactly the dates. I wish I had brought it up so I could have it here, but it was right around that time period. So it is possible that he knows that Hugh was appointed the director of the program, but maybe not. I kind of hope that he doesn't know that, and that he arrives and then he's greeted with Hugh and he hasn't seen him in that long period of time. That would be, I think, better. But, I guess we'll wait and see. But
because we did get that image. Sorry to interrupt you. We did get that image of Hugh meeting Picard. You must have seen it. It came out somewhere. Mm-hmm. Like, CBS released it. Then it's mysteriously vanished since. I was checking back through the CBS press things. That image is gone. And I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? So now I'm having to scroll through all our Discord chats and everything, and our emails, trying to find the image again. Because I remember it was like an orangey sort of background. Hugh stood there and Picard stood there and meeting each other. I can't for the life of me find the image now. It's like it's somewhere in one of our files, so I have to like dig through archives of it somewhere.
Yeah, I do. I do remember the image you're talking about, but I am very interested to see how this is going to go, because obviously there is a separation of powers between the Romulans who are controlling the cube and Hugh being the reclamation cube director, like he's the kind of the director of the scientists in the program, but they own it. And if Picard knows he's on the cube, he could easily reach out to him and say, hey,
let me in,
help me out here. There's something going on and I need your assistance. But I feel like if he did know that Hugh was on there, he would have probably mentioned it in that scene when he was talking to Rios about having to fly there, because he would have probably been like, I know somebody that can help us out. But the impression that I got was that they're going to have to like sneak in some way, if that makes sense.
They mentioned in the promo, I guess we can just speak about this everything today. In the promo for episode 6, they mentioned they need clearance for it. Or clearance to sector of space, or enter it. I forget the term Rios says off the top of my head, but someone might be able to find it. So here we go. I've actually found the image now. We've got that does make sense. So they mentioned they need clearance for it. So if he knew Hugh was there, he could probably ring up going, Hugh, I need your help getting in here. My Patrick Stewart impression is terrible. Don't comment on it.
I was on point, man.
I will be leaving now. T-hole, great. No, but carried away. He could have basically held Hugh and said, hey, let me in, and gone. Let me in. Yeah, let me in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Gonna get fucking Patrick Stewart doing that at the door.
Let me in. Yeah, right. Right.
Let's talk about episode 6 anyways. I think a lot of people want to talk about that quickly. Do you think the Borg cube's going to suddenly reactivate and there's going to be some sort of revolt in progress? Because CBS released that teaser of repeating what they said in episode, was it 1 or 2? I think it was episode 2. Episode 2.
Yeah, about the
if it flashes, run. Romulans in their drama. I think there's something that's going to go bad there, or maybe things activate to allow Picard to just slip away with Soji conveniently, while the Romulans are distracted of a Borg. Because in the trailer, the teaser one, minus spoilers for episode 6, by the way, if you don't want to know anything about it, we do see that little glimpse of what appears to be Picard as a simulated Borg drone, but it's obviously not. It's made to seem like that and almost trick people. You picked that one up, didn't you?
Yeah, there's it's less than a half a second flash of a Borg drone that is very similar looking to Locutus, but the key difference is that his entire eye is covered up, whereas Locutus had both eyes available, even though later on during First Contact they had a sequence where it looked like his eye was being drilled into, but whatever, we're not going to get into that. But it's definitely not Locutus, but I think that it is for sure intended to either evoke some kind of emotion for us as the audience, or when these drones do activate and Picard sees that similar looking drone, that is going to cause something for him. Because I think that there was a reason that they had that conversation. Him and Seven had that conversation at the end of this episode where he was like, I'm still kind of dealing with it, and so is she. So I think we're going to get a little bit of that kind of a flashback sequence. And he may even have a certain emotional reaction just being on the cube definitely. In general, which would be fun to kind of see and experience, because this would be his first time on a cube since his assimilation, and first time being around the Borg since then. So I feel like there's probably going to be a very heavy character reaction to being there around Borg technology and on the cube just for him. So I'm very excited to see that. I can't wait to see how that unfolds.
It's going to be very cool to see, and I'm looking forward to episode 6 just based off that little teaser we got there, and I can't wait to have things unfold. We get more Hugh as well, which is fantastic, and also we get them on the Borg cube. I hope to see we learn a bit more about Romulans, learn a bit more about the Borg as well, what's actually going on there, because I feel like we've not seen everything yet, because they mentioned this grey zone. We've not technically seen the grey zone yet in a manner of speaking. We saw a bit of a lab where they was deconstructing, Borg cubes and stuff, but we didn't really see much of what else is going on apart from the moving furniture, as we're calling it, with the walls, randomly dancing around the place. Still don't know what's going on there, but hey. So, there's definitely something going on there, so I can't wait for episode 6. Before I do forget, let's discuss the ending of episode 5. Dr. Jurati, what do you think of that moment? Ooh. That moment in particular.
So I want to address a quick theory that I've seen kind of crop up about Dr. Jurati, in that she is a synthetic being related to Lore, because she had a little cheek twitch during the sequence where Maddox was dying on the table. I've watched the sequence several times. I don't subscribe to that right now. I think it was just her physically reacting to what she was doing to Maddox. I don't think that it was an implication that she's also a synthetic being, but that's just me. What did you think about that? Do you think that theory is accurate?
I didn't pick up on that myself too. So I'm going to have to go back later and watch this, because I've not watched the episode since reviewing it yet, because at the time. But I'll definitely go back and look at that one. But that entire scene myself, I feel like, definitely a lot of people have been saying like she's like, as an agent, or what's the word for an undercover agent? Not spy.
Well, she could be a double agent.
Yeah, or basically, she's been, not mind melded. I forget the technical term now. When someone's like, converted to work for the other party, they don't know they're doing it.
You're saying that she's been assimilated by the Zhat Vash?
No. But basically, Commodore O has implanted something in her to do it. I forget the technical term. Someone might know what I'm on about. And that's what she's... Sleeper agent. Thank you, Seal Bear. Sleeper agent. That's what a lot of people were saying. She's undercover sleeper agent. So, I don't know. But she said they showed me the way. Maybe that's the way. This is the way. She's like the synthetic life forms and such. So something's definitely going on there. Brainwash as well. Yeah, Commodore O has definitely done something to her along with Zatvash. So yeah, I don't know. That whole scene for me made sense. Like, it really made sense. I wasn't expecting it, which is good, because I hate it when I know what's coming in a TV show. It always does my head in. I like it when they surprise me. I do feel like killing off Maddox was a bit too fast, but it does move the story on. I wish we could have spent more time with him, especially as we spent the last 5 episodes chasing him, essentially. It just felt a bit weird.
I agree. I expected him to kind of die in the next episode 6.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to die so... I either expected him to immediately die of his injuries on the ship, when he got back, or he was going to bite it in the next episode. I did not expect it to be Agnes that killed him, nor did I expect her to seemingly act under her own will, even though I think that there may be something going on. But her implication with the words made it seem like Commodore O revealed something to her that forced her to be like, oh, I made a terrible mistake. Because I think she says something like, this is just one more thing I have to atone for. So
I
she feels
know.
guilty over it.
It's
So
almost like she
I don't know
feels
what the hell's
guilty
going on.
over the construction of Daj and Soji in a way because she
Right.
helped in that.
Right.
Before I did forget, Amir, thank you for the $10 donation. And they say Maddox dealing with Jay, I'm not going to pronounce a name like that, as we'll say something else, may have resulted in him using Borg tech. What if the Destroyer is the mum AI in Soji that got corrupted by the tech prior or later by the Cube while trying to save Soji? So this is absolutely an interesting point here. We learn that Maddox basically took out a loan to help with his research. I know a lot of people saying, well, he's in the Federation. Where he was and where this woman is, who we're going to call Jay, not by her other name, they're not in the Federation. I'm pretty sure it's evident Free Cloud is not within the Federation. It's in the lawless beta quadrant now, basically, in with all the other planets. I think that's implied. I wouldn't personally take it, but Free Cloud is within the Federation, as you see money, gambling, and all other stuff going on there. Definitely no Federation jurisdiction going on. But yeah, the Maddox using Borg tech, it's a possibility, especially as that Borg cube has been around for a while and also selling stuff, and the Romulans were making profit off of it. So it could be an option. Also, that woman herself was also deconstructing Borg or disassembling it, whatever term you want to use for that lovely scene at the start of the episode. She's definitely into something at herself. But that scene at the start of the episode, I think we should discuss that because it's a pretty core thing for the whole episode, and I know a lot of people saying it wasn't needed. I'm of a fence that personally I didn't like the level of gore, but it has been in Star Trek before. I'm just not typically the gorish person. I'm not a big fan of it on TV. I had to look away for 5 minutes while drinking my morning Earl Grey. So it did make sense.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, it is the thing was, and I talked about this the other day on a live stream that I did, is we have had horrific moments in Star Trek
For sure.
before, but the framing, and this is the key thing about framing your scene and tonally, setting up the sequence, definitely shifts the audience's reaction to what they're watching. We watch the crystalline entity dust people by the dozens, and it's perfectly fine because it's framed in a tonally lighthearted show and it's done in a very lighthearted way. But the kicker piece to that is when you frame it in a more horrific style, like it did at the beginning of this episode, people kind of react very differently to it. I mean, even in First Contact, Picard wastes 2 Borg with a Tommy gun and then rips through this person's guts to pull out, like a little node or whatever so he can find out what they're doing. And that's also rather horrific when you think about the fact that that's a person whose guts he's just ripping through. It's actually like, whoa, that's kind of disgusting, but he's not screaming and it's not framed in that way. This is framed in an action adventure kind of thing. It's not framed in something horrific. So I don't think it was necessarily over the top. I think the issue is the way that it was tonally set up for that sequence is what caused people to kind of like have like a, whoa, this is
it was a bit like OTT. But like I say, it matches with previous Trek as well, because I totally forgot. The one that always comes to mind is Picard and Riker blowing the guy's like chest and head off in that one Next Generation episode, which it's not called, is it collusion or conspiracy? I think I forget the name.
I think it might be conspiracy, where he's got the little the creature
bugs,
in his mouth. Yeah,
I love how Star Trek Online actually did a story about that. It was great. But yeah, I always remember that episode as well. I did totally forget about First Contact and the eye drill scene we refer to it as, and that is one of those things I can't watch stuff like that. It's just me personally. I can't watch stuff like that. It's a little bit too much. But I understand other people are fine for it and like that. But what I was making a point of, it did suit the motive. I think Icheb had to die in a way for Seven's hatred to be justified for when she caught up with him years later. And obviously the killing off of Icheb as well, interesting. A lot of people said it could have been Chakotay, but I don't think it had that aspect, and I don't think they'd kill off a main character like Chakotay either. That would have been a rather little bit OTT. So Icheb was a secondary character. I know there's a lot of love out there for Icheb at the minute, but I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think it was wise to kill him off or not?
I do, because I think it set up the motivation of Seven, and it set up several things, actually. It set up the motivation of Seven. It set up how serious our villainess is, we'll call her that, and also the seriousness with which the situation is in the Beta Quadrant sans the Federation. And I thought that it set those things up perfectly, because if they had just talked about, even if they still went with Icheb's death, and if they had just talked about it, it would have not had the same level of impact, I think, than us as the audience viewing it and experiencing it with Seven at that moment. Because you kind of want Seven to go down there and blow her away, because it's like, this lady is garbage and she's ripping these things out of people's bodies without even any care in the world for their comfort. I know that sounds stupid. Like, why would they care about their comfort when they're trying to harvest their Borg tech? But
Exactly.
it's just like that extra layer of not caring. And I think it was absolutely necessary. I think that they needed to do it that way. And I think it set it up perfectly, in my opinion. I think it was well done.
Anson Ricky, thank you for the donation. Maddox used Data's imprint on B4 to construct them. This is a discussion I've seen quite a lot around it, and the imprint and what he's used there, and whether like elements of lore was used to construct the Daj and Soji, and that's why they're a little bit mental sometimes. So I don't know, there's a big discussion going on there. I think maybe in this next episode, episode 6, we're going to learn more about it. The synopsis reads that Narek finds a way to use Soji and get information out of her, and we see it a little bit in the trailer, him using his funny laughing gas, or whatever we're going to call it, to get information out of her and the magic floor of it's wood on a Borg cube. But hey, we'll discuss that when it comes out. But I think we're going to learn more about that next episode, because Picard comes to save her. We get that hallway running scene with Hugh, his magic torch of destiny, running down the corridor with Picard and Soji. So there's definitely something going on there. But yeah. There's definitely something going on there. I feel like it would be a huge, I know we've talked about this theory a lot, where I've said, like, maybe it was lore that they used in order to create the Asha twins, but I feel like that would be it would be an interesting twist, but at the same time it would be a little bit of a gut punch, because I think it's much more emotionally impactful for us as Trek fans to feel that connection to Soji, as Data's essentially his daughter in that regard. And I would be surprised but a little disappointed if they go that route. So I think that Maddox definitely used Data's neuron from B4 in order to create them. That's what I think. And I think that's also possibly why Maddox had to die so quickly, because I think if he had more screen time, it would have revealed too much of the plot at this point. So they probably had to get him off screen quickly. We had to find him, but he couldn't say too much, because then it would let the cat out of the bag, essentially, and we had to kind of make sure that worked right. So I love how the poor EMH on the last arena basically goes back to being as useless as the one on Voyager. It's like you just turn him off by command. Do you think by now, after all they've learned from Voyager's EMH for Doctor, that they would have this EMH has done so much work on Voyager, let's update all our EMHs with the same, I mean, they don't have to look the same, the same sort of firmware, like Windows update. Probably that's a bad idea. Don't update them with Windows.
Don't do that.
Do a Mac OS update instead. It'll take hours. No, basically
he runs on Windows Vista.
He's on Linux, that's why. They could have done some update there where in an emergency situation you can't just be shut off, because you think, what the hell, in an emergency situation, and he's like, the guy that Maddox was dying, you think the MH should be able to activate himself again after being shut off and save the day. But I guess that obviously wouldn't help the plot, because it would defeat the point. But it's just one of those things you think, well, what a shitty MH that is in a way. But oh well.
Yeah, definitely. I like the fact that and I mentioned this in my review, I like how they set up at the beginning of the episode that the EMH automatically activates based off of a situation occurring on the ship through internal sensors, and that he still shows up again later on. I like the fact that they did that, and I like the fact that it was there long enough to see and assess what he was able to see and assess what was going on, and then for Jurati to turn him off. That's absolutely going to come up later. I think they're definitely going to question the EMH as to what happened. I'm wondering if Jurati may tamper with the EMH in some way, because obviously in the beginning of the next episode, they're all going to walk into the sick bay, see that Maddox is dead, and then they're going to call down the EMH and say, hey, where the hell were you?
What did you do?
And he's just going to spill the beans. So I feel like Jurati's going to do something to interfere with the EMH in some regard, either wipe its memory or prevent it from activating correctly, or it'll get corrupted or something like that. But
I hope she doesn't delete the program or something. That'll be... we'll have to have the hospitality program as EMH instead. It'll be a terrible idea.
No, don't do that.
Let's keep that hologram turned off for good. I do not want to see that one again.
Yeah, don't do that.
We'll just get Emmett in there. He was a great person. We'll have him as a medic. He's totally like a Bones himself, so...
He should be the only
Emmett
at all
reminds me
times.
of Dr. Sherman Cottle from Battlestar Galactica, the reimagined one, smoking a cigar the whole time, or like cigarettes and just
Yeah, he's
walking around the
always smoking
place.
cigarettes. Like he's like doing surgery. He's got like a lit cigarette out of the mask. He's just, yeah. I love that guy. That was a great
That
character.
was
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
coddling the whole of Battlestar Galactica's season one. Should you be smoking near a pregnant lady? Yes. Amir, thank you
God
for a
damn it,
quick
I don't care.
donation. The Zatvash can't be relying on the prophecy alone. There must have been some concrete evidence that's compelling them to act. Exactly. This is an organization that has, been so secretive and so hidden behind the Tal Shiar since basically the dawn of the Roman Star Empire, according to Laris and that. So, for them to suddenly come out of hiding and, act more in the open, something must have gone on here. Obviously, the synthetics, the Mars, they're definitely related to that, in my opinion. So I reckon we are going to learn more about this. We're just on episode 5 now. Episode 6, I think, is going to continue to build on the world. Episode 7, that's going to introduce something. And we know Riker's, or, Deanna Troi and William Riker, they appear in episode 7, thanks to Marina Sirtis's comments and also press photos. So we're in episode 7. So we know, Picard goes to them for help. So what level of help
Right.
they can provide does come into question as well, and what they can do. So there's a fair bit of speculation for the series going on. But here's a quick comment for you, or question. We're now halfway through the series in episode 5. How do you feel about the series overall so far?
Overall, I'm loving
Yeah.
it. I am very impressed with the level of detail in each episode, the deliberate pacing of every episode. I love the layering that's going on. I like all of the new characters except for Narek. That's the only
Yeah.
one I'm not really a fan of right now. But all of the new characters that we've gotten, I really like, or I'm kind of still like on the indifferent towards. Like I'm still kind of indifferent towards Elnor and a little bit towards Raffi because we don't think we've spent enough time with either one of those characters yet.
I'd agree with you there. Like with episode 5, I feel like after we've just picked up Elnor, I mentioned this in our review as well, we didn't really get to see much from this episode apart from his little scenes of almost acting like a kid in a way, being that, Data Spock, of saying exactly what's on his mind, which is what his character's all about. But I feel like just as we've just picked him up, we didn't get to spend enough time with him, which is a bit, I don't know. Hopefully we get to spend more time with him, because I think he's definitely on the Borg cube as well next episode. So, Picard probably takes in for guard. Maybe he's going to use that lovely sword of him, cut some Romulans up or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I mean, we know that swords are effective weapons against the Borg. We saw it at first contact. Worf used it against the Borg. So that's definitely a viable option, and he's definitely capable of doing that. Hopefully we get to see him slice and dice some Borg up. But I love it though. I think that the season so far has been fantastic, and I can't wait to really appreciate all the work because there's still like a lot of threads that are out there. And we won't really know about how the season really was until the 10th final episode, because then we'll actually be able to really give it a solid rating, as opposed to like other Trek shows, which were more episodic and you could really break it apart. So I'm very excited, though. I can't wait to see the end. I'm actually kind of bummed. We're already halfway through.
I know it's going to be, it's like, 5 weeks and it's going to be over. Everyone in the chat, a quick question. If you would like to, and you're taking part of our conversation here, out of 10, how would you rate the whole series so far? Feel free to put your answer in the chat. 1 being terrible, number 10 being the best thing you've ever watched. This is for all 5 episodes of the series so far. Feel free to put your number in the chat while I read out Ensign Ricky's donation. The Zatvash could technically have Vulcan members because they existed during the Vulcan-Roman split, which they would say around 2k years ago. It's a possibility. We know Commodore O's sort of species is up for discussion. Someone, I think it's Alex Kurtzman, commented that she was a Romulan, and also the makeup department said she was a Romulan because she's wearing Romulan makeup, but she's disguised as a Vulcan. So, I don't know, there could be something for discussion there. I reckon we are going to see Commodore O again and learn a bit more about it. So I think she'll pop up probably towards episode 8 or 9 or 10 as, her plan sort of comes together, because that's when the climax of the series is going to come together. Things are going to start picking up and, the plot is winding up. We'll definitely see her again, I feel, or at least her agents, and probably we'll see Narissa as well. We know Narissa's in episode 6, and I have a feeling there's a bit of a run in there going on, judging from that little teaser. So yeah, some interesting numbers so far. A lot of people saying, I'm seeing a lot of 8, 9s and 10s, a lot of 8 and 9. Interesting. Very good. She could be Riemann with those ears. I don't think they're going to introduce Riemanns, to be honest. We've not seen any yet.
Yeah, I don't think.
And I have a feeling they're
go
kind of KIA, like Turtle. After their little insurrection or, rebellion against the Romans in Nemesis, but they're gone. Yeah, we're not seeing any Riemanns anytime soon.
I would be surprised if we see any Riemanns, just because it's not really something that is important to this, I guess, story overall.
Yeah.
But I agree that we're definitely going to see I think it was Michael Chabon, who said that she was a Romulan.
Yeah.
And I think that I think that was him who said that.
I
So I
think
think
he
that's what
said
we're
it, and then they confirmed, or whenever there was a passing comment by Alex Kurtzman on the Deadline podcast, which said about that.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and check our notes now because we did tweet it out. So something like that. Ryan, thank you for the donation there. Since the main plot deals with sentient AI and a conspiracy to suppress them, do you think we'll see direct continuity with Discovery Season 2? This is a great question, and I know there's a lot of discussion over it in a minute, because obviously Discovery Season 2 explored the idea of control and also the future where like all sentient lives wiped out thanks to a big computer. I don't think it's going to be a connection like that. I hope not in a way. I wouldn't want the series to be connected. That's not because I find Discovery bad or anything. I think Discovery is great within its own reasons. However, there's definitely some similarities going on there. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. But yeah, what do you think about the Nick? You know, a lot of people saying, you know, Discovery Season 2, Picard, sort of connected. I don't personally think it is, but I think it's just treading on similar ground ever so slightly.
I am still open to the idea, and the reason I say that is there's still a lot of similarities with this whole issues with artificial intelligence between the concerns that they had in Discovery Season 2, and obviously the Zatvash hates artificial intelligence for some reason, or synthetic life for some reason. The other thing and I think everybody's in agreement here, like the level of homage that Discovery Season 2 was playing on for Borg related technology was very high, to the point where myself and many others were like, they're giving us the Borg origin story. That's how serious it was. They had the tubes that came in, the technology that they were using on the Section 31 ship was green, like the little drones that entered into what's his nuts' neck. I forget his name now, but his neck, there were little green nanotechnologies. It was 2 tubes just like that of a Borg assimilation drone. He says struggle is pointless. There's all of these different things. And he himself was still half human and half, robotic person. He was essentially a Borg drone for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
So I think that there's still something there. I don't know if they're going to go that hard into it, but I'm not against the idea. I think that they may be trying to do something.
Because originally the idea of control, for those who've read the books, and if you've been around the channel long enough, you know myself, Dom, and a few others love our extended canon of the Star Trek universe, particularly the books by David Mack and Dayton Ward and people like that. There's a book series called Control, in which follows on from the Section 31 idea of DS9 and how Section 31 was being ran by Control. This is similar to what we use or see in Discovery Season 2. So this is obviously taken from the books. We see it in extended canon. And by this time, I think Control would have been explored in the books. I'd have to go back and check my references, but it would have been defeated by Bashir and a few other people. So them borrowing the story isn't too far-fetched. It was in the extended canon. It's also keen to remember we do have a book writer for Star Trek on board production team, Kirsten Beer, who actually wrote Episode 5, and you can tell by the amount of Voyager references in it. She is the expert on Star Trek books in the series as well. So yeah, it's pretty good. I love the Voyager references throughout this episode. I had a little bit of the music. We found it out last week, and Jeff Russo confirmed it. I love that little bit of the music as Seven beams down there. Fantastic. I love it. I want more of that.
Leland was his name.
That's the one, yes, Captain Leland.
Sorry. I'm sorry. It was bothering. Not what's his nuts. It's Leland. That's who it was.
Alan Van Sprang played him.
Yes. So, I loved all the Voyager references here. I think we got a lot of good Voyager related items in this season, and now that we know we're getting a second season, I know we had a couple of DS9 hints in Free Cloud. We had Quark's Bar. We had, I think, Mott's haircuts or something like that.
TNG,
yeah. So there was a couple of DS9 things, but I think it wouldn't hurt to bring in some DS9 characters for season 2. I don't think we need any more characters for this season. I think we've got enough, done. Especially since we still got Riker and Troy coming.
Here's a quick question for you, though. On the topic of cameos and characters, do you think anybody we know of is going to jump out of the woodwork for the season 1 so far? Like, do you reckon they're keeping anyone super secret? Because obviously they've been pretty public about bringing back legacy Trek characters. I think that's also for a marketing thing as well, because they know bring back Jerry Ryan, Jonathan Dell'Arco, Brent Spiner, all the legacy characters. They knew that was a big boost for publicity and marketing there, because people loved Riker, people loved Jerry, so they're like, oh yeah, we want to watch the series for them. Do you reckon they're keeping anyone super secret behind the scenes at the minute, which they're going to pop out? So we know Q is one we've discussed before, but anyone other than that, maybe?
So obviously Q, and I don't know if you and I talked about this in our last live stream, but I know I have mentioned this previously, where I'm still of the belief that Sela is going to make an appearance.
Yes, we've discussed this one, but yeah.
Yeah, that would be the only other character It's possible. Worf may be another possibility. So for me, Worf and Seal are the only two I'm still kind of on the fence about them appearing for some reason. I'm almost fairly 100% confident that Q is going to appear probably for the season finale.
Ooh,
I think
yes.
that the leaked image that we saw on Instagram, John Delancey's recent interest in doing interviews on StarTrek.com. I don't know if you've caught those, but he's done a couple of discussions on StarTrek.com, and he just magically started to be a part of Star Trek again with the Picard show coming out. I think kind of is hitting it a little on the nose. So I'm pretty confident we're going to get Q, but the other two characters, tertiary, are either Sela or Worf. That's who I think. One of those two probably will show up at some point.
This is my weekly request from the feature the USS Verity or the USS Enterprise in Star Trek Picard Episode 1. CBS, if you're watching this, it'll make me a very happy man if you do so. But on a serious note of that topic there, Worf arriving in the Enterprise F saving the day or something like that, please make it happen. I want an Odyssey class on screen. Make it canon or I might die. Anyway, thank you, Denson Ricky, for your $2 donation there. Did you hear the Voyager music when Seven transferred? Yep, we just discussed that one. Great little detail there. Jeff Russo's done a fantastic job of composing this soundtrack, and I love his blending in details from original Star Trek music there. The Voyager theme is one of my favourites, so having that blend in there would be nice. As Nick just said as well, having some DS9 either characters or elements later on would be fantastic. I would love to see that. So yeah, some quick comments from the chat a minute. There'll be one for cliffhanger. Oh yeah, the Q cliffhanger. We theorised that before. I think that's something that's going to happen. You can almost feel him popping up, and the series bang ends there, and it comes back in season 2 and picks up. You know, I would. I'd totally see them doing that.
For sure, yeah. I because I think that we're going to resolve the mystery of murders in this season.
Yes.
I think that's something that's going to happen. I think we're going to understand fairly well what's going on with the Asha twins and that whole, plot. And I think an easy way to ensure that we all tune in for season 2 is to have Q show up at the end and be like, that trial of humanity is just getting started, and I got something for you.
Click
and
fingers.
It just cuts to black. Right. And then I'm like, and then everyone's heads are just going to explode because everyone's going to be super excited. So that's an easy thing for them to do, and definitely enables them to create a hook for season 2 without necessarily revealing too much or tying them into some kind of a plot thing that they'll have to deal with if they're not ready to actually get those scripts. I know they're doing a lot of pre-production already because I think they're scheduled to even start.
They're starting filming this year.
Yeah, they're starting to film, I think, the middle of this year. So they're starting pretty soon. So
it used to be June or July, someone said. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think it was June, I think it is.
I'd have to double check, but yeah. So someone said to me, we were discussing like what their possible cliffhanger opportunities could be. Someone said the Enterprise. I don't think they're allowed to do that one again. They did that with Discovery Season 1, having a cliffhanger of the Enterprise. I don't think they can get away with it again at the end of Picard. We'll see, though, but I wouldn't like that because it's been done before. It would be a bit too much in that way. Admiral Janeway should come back and help Seven, says Katie. They need to be reunited as Janeway's practically Seven's mother. Also, I'd like to see Chakotay and the Doctor. Yeah, more Voyager stars would be great. Speaking about the Doctor, Robert Picardo did reveal at London Film and Comic Con in 2019, which was in July or August. Dom, if you're in chat, correct me. He said basically... Yeah, his agents had been contacted to do season 2. He let that slip. I don't think he was meant to mention it. However, obviously that's been in progress, and we know they've been planning season 2 for a while. We know Guinan's returning. For the person just asked how I feel about that, I love it. Guinan's a very interesting character. Whoopi Goldberg is also a fantastic actress. The way she brought life as Guinan, but also mystery. I still feel like even though we know a lot about Guinan, we don't actually know that much about her, to be honest, because she's still surrounded in mystery, and her species is also surrounded in mystery to a degree. Her connection with the Borg as well, particularly in that Hugh episode, and also Q if they're going to introduce him. She connects very well to the potential plot of season 2, and I'd love to see that.
I agree with all your points, and I think there's a possibility, because I think even made some comments recently that kind of indicated that she would be open to the idea of returning, which is kind of like that public political game where you have to kind of play and kind of gauge fan excitement stuff of that, So I think that there's a possibility for that, and that's why I think whatever cliffhanger that they had at the end of this season, I don't think is going to set up too much of the plot for the second one, because they're probably still working on what the story was overall. So I think it's anybody's guess, and I'm very excited to see Guinan. I was surprised that she didn't come back for this season, to be honest, but it makes sense because they've got a lot of other things going on that she doesn't really fit with this story, at least at this point. So Yeah, I'm excited though. I'm
I
very,
would love
very,
to
very
see
excited.
Admiral Janeway back in it and Kate Mulgrew because obviously she did meet Picard in Nemesis where she had a little interaction. I'd love to see that. I did ask Kirsten Beer at the London premiere about it, and I think I mentioned this before. I asked if Kate Mulgrew Janeway could ever make an appearance. She didn't say no, but she said, she sort of said, just keep watching, anything can happen. So I don't know. I take that as a slight hit. And we know Kirsten Beer has obviously written a ton of Voyager novels, so she knows the Janeway characters and Seven. She knows the Voyager characters like the back of her hand. So if there's anybody to bring in Janeway in a way that's meaningful and impactful and makes sense of the plot and lore, it's her. So I have faith in what we're doing. Jedi Masters on, thank you for the donation. Daj, Soji are Lore's daughters. Again, a plot point we discussed earlier in the stream. Feel free to chase back and watch it if you'd like to. I don't think so, but
I don't think so either.
There could be a connection in some capacity. I'd love to hear at least a mention of Lore, because I know it's a big fan favorite question at the minute. But obviously with Maddox's death in episode 5 now, we may not get that information, as whatever secrets he used to construct the androids and anything like that are now gone with him, essentially, unless he conveniently left it on a notepad somewhere. Ensign Ricky, thank you for the donation. More than anyone in Star Trek, I want to see Garak. Oh, of course. Just a simple Taylor is what we need. Again, more DS9 characters, like Nick mentioned earlier, would be fantastic. I would love to see DS9. It's just had its anniversary last year or the year before last. It had its anniversary a couple of years ago. So, having that would be fantastic, and seeing it, but more
I would
DS9.
throw out. So here's something to talk about. Maybe a potential. I don't want to say this is a. I don't want to use the word plot hole because that's got a lot of negative connotations.
Element, should we say?
But what the thing that I'm thinking of is why. Part of what Narek is doing with Soji is to find out where the rest of them are, which is implying that there's more androids out there. So my question is why did Agnes kill Maddox if they're not sure if there are other ones and where they may be? Because he would probably know where they were. So my question is why do you think that she did that? I don't know.
Because he mentioned that he sent Daj to Earth and Soji to the Borg Cube to learn the mystery of the attack on Mars and the synthetics and the conspiracy surrounding it. We've heard mention of this conspiracy mentioned a lot before. TJ just reminded me in the chat as well. We heard also mention in this episode of Conclave of 8 surrounding conspiracy. Yes. Again, this is one of those plot lines that's following through a series. This is what I love about Star Trek Picard as well. We're not just following the one big plot of, the synthetics and Daj and Soji. We're following these little plot lines as well. Limes? Lines, not limes. We've not got limes. Lines.
It could be limes. I don't know.
Maybe some lemons while we're at it. These little lines here, and it fits in very well here. This conspiracy, the Conclave of 8, as they've been referenced and mentioned, I'm interested. I want to know more about these. And yes, we need Phlox as well. Bring back Phlox. Might be a little bit late now, though.
There's still so many things, and that's why I say I don't want to say that Girardi killing Maddox with that whole issue with the other androids out there is a plot hole, because this season is so well connected to everything going on that may very well get explained. So I don't want to use that as a plot hole issue, because that's doing a disservice to what this show is trying to do, which is trying to tell a 10-hour movie. So I'm curious to see how that plays out, which is why I kind of brought it up, because it is rather interesting why they went with that route. But yeah, there's so many plot threads out there that are still just there, and I literally cannot wait to see how they unfold. Like, I don't even know how Picard gets back to the Riker's house. Like, he's on the La Serena right now. Why does he go from that to the Riker's house by himself? What? How does he get there? Why does he go there? I'm very.
Well, we know from some of the photos that he must take Soji there, because we see him, Soji, Deanna, and Kestra, who we presume is Riker and I was going to say Marina, Deanna's daughter. So we presume that's their daughter. So he at least maybe the ship stays in orbit, or they go off to quickly refuel or repair or do something. But at least they're around, and we must drop him off with Soji, and they ask the question there. So there's definitely some speculation surrounding episode 7 and why he goes to Riker, because he obviously goes to seek out help. But like Satya just said, there's lots of sides to this puzzle. This series is written really well. That's my personal opinion. I think Picard so far has been written really well, because we're sat here discussing these multiple thread points, and all the speculation we had has completely gone out the window, which is good, because I hate predictable stuff. As somebody who reviews a lot of media, like I review video games on my main channel, I hate it when I can predict a game story from a mile away, or a TV show.
Yes.
So Picard so far, apart from the obvious scene of Seven popping up towards the end of episode 4, which was kind of a given, I can't predict the story. I don't know where we're going. So yeah, it's anyway. Neil
I
T,
agree.
thank you for the quick donation. Sorry to interrupt you. I'd like to bring back the character of Nog back. Unfortunately, can't bring him back. However, Alex Kurtzman was asked whether they'd create some sort of homage to maybe Captain Nog or his starship. I'd love to see that. I don't think we'll see it for season 1. However, seeing it for season 2 could be a good idea. Definitely honouring Aaron Eisenberg and also the character of Nog as well. It'd be great. Thank you to everyone's donations tonight, by the way. Remember, we've recently turned on YouTube membership, so if you feel like supporting the channel even more, click that join button down below and you can become and support Trek Central as a YouTube member. You also get these fancy little emojis we put a lot of work into, including Pirate Picard very soon. It's our favourite emoji over here at the team. It's hilarious. And you also get a little badge next to your name as well, which will symbolise how long you've been a YouTube member for. It's Sunday. I've lost the ability to speak. Please forgive me.
That's
been a long week.
That's okay. So we do have a question in the chat that I wanted to ask
Of
you
course.
from actually from Trek Culture.
Hello guys.
That is asking, yeah, hey guys. That asked, do we think that the Rikers are on Earth or Beta Z? And my feeling is probably Earth, but I would love it to be Beta Z just because we haven't really been there, and I'd love to, like, I don't know. Obviously, we won't get to explore it, but I'd like to just add it physically into Alpha Canon as like this is what it looks like. What do you
We've
think?
seen Beta Z before in Next Generation, but obviously not in newer graphics. I'd like it to be Beta Z, to be honest. It makes sense. Especially if they track all the way back to Earth, considering Commodore O and a band of merry men are supposedly after Picard. It would be a bit weird for them to go back there, especially if he knows he's being pursued. Presumably, if Starfleet's involved in this conspiracy, are they pursuing Picard as well to a degree? Because Admiral Clancy did inform Commodore O, so she's aware of the whole shindig. So is something going on here? I reckon on Beta Z personally, or maybe another planet. But I hope it's Beta Z because it would make logical sense. Because Deanna Troi at one point was meant to inherit her mother's status. Now, presumably her mother has. Obviously, we know the actress sadly has passed on by now. Presumably her mother by this time might have passed on as well. So if so, has Deanna inherited her mother's status? Maybe Deanna's the ambassador to Beta Z or something like that. Who knows? It's implied the Rikers are retired. Yeah. I hope they aren't. I'd love to see William Riker, Jonathan Frakes back in a Nemesis Star uniform on board the Titan. A man can dream. Just give me more ships, CBS, please.
You just keep dreaming. It's not going to happen.
I just want a ship.
Yeah, it's I would be very interested to see them being on Beta Z. It might make sense narratively because I think you're right to say, like, from what we're seeing from episode 6, it looks like whatever happens activates some drones on the reclamation cube. So that's going to piss off the Romulans. They're going to have the Zot Vash hot on their tail, and they may spin this story publicly that Picard and the crew of the La Serena are public enemy number 1, and they go into hiding, and maybe that's why he goes to the Rikers. I don't know.
Local man upsets Borg cube.
Yeah, crazy old drunk. Yeah,
comes in here, down the messes up our Borg cube. What an ass.
Yeah, I know. He's on a rampage around the quadrant, having an upset.
Speaking about that, though, I would love to see some Gorish assimilation. I know I don't like the gore in it. However, I really want to see the Borgs just go, absolutely mental and start assimilating those Romulan bastards.
I think that the opportunity, I think if there's, in my opinion, my personal opinion, there's no way that they're going to get off this Borg cube without some kind of Borg incident. And you're right to say, like, this show, again, talking about that, how they frame things tonally, this has the ability to really demonstrate the danger and seriousness that the Borgs really represent. Because obviously we saw a lot about that, especially in the First Contact movie. We saw them assimilating the Enterprise crew and stuff. But this has the opportunity to really elevate those sequences to create that kind of like that scene in like Rogue One where Darth Vader's at the end and he, goes crazy and murders all those guys in the hallway. Like, we knew that Vader was a bad guy, but seeing that was like, oh my gosh, like that's like another level, right? And so we might see that style of excitement with the Borg drones.
I really
we
do
know
reckon
they're dangerous.
Something happens. Like I either like Hugh, deliberately activates something, or maybe the grey zone doors magically open because we see them running down a corridor. I reckon maybe it's used like a diversion for them to, conveniently walk at a back door, beam off, and escape. Because Picard gets there, presumably he has authorization somehow. We know from that picture we gathered as well that he does meet Hugh. Yeah. So something's going on. Hello, Disco47. Thank you for popping by. It's just episode 6. I'm really hyped for how the series is going so far, and hopefully episode 6 continues to deliver on both the world building and also that element of surprise as well. I'm enjoying it.
Agreed. I can't wait to see it. Like, every episode, like you said, it's hard to predict a lot of these twists and turns because there's so much mystery, and that makes it so that every episode we step into is as an excitement. Like even this episode, like episode 5, was kind of portrayed a little bit like I want to say like a filler episode,
like a holodeck adventure one almost.
Like right, like an adventure-y kind of thing. But really, this thing had way more impact than several of the previous ones in a lot of ways. And it's crazy. Like it was this weird, fun adventure, but yet we had this serious death at the beginning. We had this revenge plot, reveal of Seven, this Borg thing going on. You know, the whole situation at the end with Maddox. Like so much stuff happened in an episode that appeared to be like a filler, but it was still packed full of stuff. So yeah, I'm pumped. Every episode is just exhausting, and I hate the fact that they go by so quick. I hate it.
I'm glad we're not binging it, though. Ryan, thank you for the donation. Speaking of Nog, would it be okay if they deepfake or any characters where the actors have passed away are rare, as long as the next of kin are given okay? This is an interesting discussion, and one that's been the media taking by storm at the minute. Obviously, there's a large discussion around this when they use CGI to recreate Carrie Fisher in the Rogue One, which we just spoke about, and also, I forget the name of the actor off the top of my head now, who played Tarkin. Oh,
Peter Cushing.
Peter, yep, there we go. They also used him, but they had permission from his estate to do that. I personally would say, I don't know, it's an odd place to feel like it, but I think it's treading on some grounds which need larger discussion in the film industry as a whole. I feel like this discussion hasn't been had properly yet, but I wouldn't like to see it just yet. I don't know, it's a real hard one to discuss right now because we have the technology for it, whether it should be used, I don't know. It's one of those discussions that shouldn't be had yet. I would like to see some sort of reference for Nog. I'm not sure whether they should, CGI him in, however, though, but maybe if someone else could play him, like Armin Shimmerman, maybe playing Nog, something like that, could be a good idea. But I don't know. It's a large discussion to be had. I wouldn't like to fully comment on it just yet, but it's a good idea. Yeah, that's just all I'm going to say for now.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I thought, I guess and you're right to say, like, it's very, very interesting to talk about. Like, I was not really upset with, them doing Moff Tarkin in Rogue One, because I think that Peter Cushing passed away so long ago that there was like a period of time had passed, and it made it less of a serious thing, where I think if they popped out a Nog with a deep fake style approach, it would almost feel disrespectful. So I don't know if there's like a weird time period arbitrarily that somebody has to wait before it's okay. But as I'm saying it out loud, I understand, like, it doesn't, like, even my own opinion on it doesn't really make a whole sense. I like, if initially though, like, if he just showed up with a deep fake, I would be kind of against it. I wouldn't really be.
It's worth noting, like, for episode 9 of Star Wars, they didn't deep fake or CGI Leia. They used or edited scenes they'd shot for episode 8 and 7 and morphed them into new scenes, which isn't like digitally recreating it. It's just slightly modifying the backgrounds, which, thanks to the miracle of CGI and tech, we can do that these days, which is good as well. I did suggest having Armin Shimon playing Nog. It's just an idea if they wanted to do the character. Again, it's one of those discussions that needs to be had at some point, I guess, if they want to envision it. However, I don't think it needs to be done, like Nick just said there, a certain amount of time before we do it. I would like a mention of Captain Nog, however. Alex Kurtzman did comment on himself. I honestly don't think we'll see it in season 1 because maybe it's been a bit too late after they shot it all. This was at New York Comic Con, so it would have been roughly wrapped up by that point. I think they'd finished filming just after it slightly. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see it, but hopefully season 2, even if it's just like either a ship or a little mention of something like that, maybe Admiral Nog by that time, I don't know, it would be great to see, because I know Star Trek Online have honoured his character very well, because Nog did voice acting for it. His ship is actually being made into a physical model now, thanks to Hero Collector, so you can pick that one up later this year, I believe. We'll try and do a review on the channel as well, because that ship's kind of heroic.
The other thing too is, it may not, like, we're talking about in the context Picard, but there's so many other shows in production.
Exactly.
It may not be the Picard show. Like, he could even show up in Lower Decks, which takes place in a time period that's before Picard, but definitely in a period of time where Nog would have been around, and he may make an appearance there.
Possibly Captain or something by that point.
Right, exactly. So it could be an animated version of Nog, which, again, I don't know how I feel about that either, but it's definitely, he said they're going to do something, so it could be anything. It could literally be anything. We have no idea. We have no idea what they're going to do.
It's pretty interesting, like, there's so much Star Trek coming out at the minute. We've got so much on our plate as well. We're in a new golden age of Star Trek, I think it's safe to say. Viacom CBS officially confirmed that the movie is in production, a new Star Trek movie. So they made a comment on this on their official account, which I think we can take is the closest to official confirmation, if not at least we've got so far, along with an additional series in production as well. Please, one of them be a Pike series. I know a certain someone really wants a Pike series, along with myself. Sure. There's a lot of Star Trek coming out right now. The franchise is expanding. It's more active than ever, I'd say. So there's infinite possibilities in infinite combinations, haha. For someone to come back here, and hopefully we'll see more announcements about this soon. Season 2 of Picard's confirmed. We might see something in there, maybe some more DS9 characters, or it's still a question of what the other show is. I think one's definitely given a Pike series at this point. It's pretty obvious by now, given hints and information and press stuff gathered from by now. But also, one could be another series. I feel like also, I was meant to say this earlier when we were discussing the Fenris Rangers and that, they are really establishing the 2399 era of Star Trek, the universe very well. There is now possibilities to do extra stuff and content around it. So we've got books, comics, all expanding the lore around this area, which is needed, don't get me wrong, for the show. However, there's definitely something they could spin this off if they play their cards right. Would you agree to that or not?
I agree 100%. If not necessarily spin it off, I would say that there is ample opportunity for the third, I guess you could say, season / go around of the short treks to be focused on this time period, especially since all the actors are around. For all we know, they could have already filmed some of that stuff with them. But I think that there's a potential that they could do that. Now, most of these short treks have been focused on the Discovery era, but obviously Calypso takes place like 1,000 years past, or maybe even 2,000, depending on what timeline you're looking at and how season 3 works out. But 1,000 years at least away from the Discovery timeline. So they've obviously have no problems with not making it super focused on Discovery. And obviously they centered it around the Discovery because they had the set built and they just wanted to use it to save costs. But now that all of these other sets have been built and they have all these other filming locations, and you're right, all this world that they've built, there's a strong possibility that some of the short treks may now be focused on that era as opposed to just the Discovery era. Because even now, like, we had a lot of Pike stuff, which I think they wanted to do because obviously people are excited about Pike. But
Definitely.
This next go around is kind of open, what they're going to do with the short treks. So it's possible.
I think, we've heard this mentioned before, CBS are basically looking to have different types of Star Trek shows on our screens at all time. So we've got Picard, which is more of a character focus, also focusing on our legacy Trek characters quite a lot. We've got Discovery, which is in its own stream of doing the more drama, action-y focus, I'd say. Section 31 is going to be that sort of undercover, almost like a spy series. It's my rough estimate of what it'd be like, but it's not a confirmation. Now, I feel like we are missing a traditional Trek series in a sense. One, every week we go out and fight the big bad alien, or we solve the cultural problem, the traditional Trek thing. And as someone just commented in the chat there, I feel like the Pike series could be that in a way. Every week the Enterprise goes off and, blows up another alien species. Oh well, let's back on the ship. Next week we're doing the same thing again. Hurrah! Whether that could work in this day and age is a question that's probably been asked at CBS HQ and in secret hideout offices, whether a series like that could succeed, because serialization of Star Trek is something that happens now, and it started to happen definitely towards the later stages of the franchise in 2005. So whether going back to the basics of like a new story every week could be something to watch, and how that would be given for modern media, I don't know. They're definitely aiming for new Star Trek on all the time, different types. I reckon CBS and Secret Hideout definitely want their own Enterprise on screen at some point. Star Trek Enterprise go hand in hand, whether that be the Enterprise F if they introduce it at the end of Picard, which I think is their secret dream, because that would mean they wouldn't get backlash for touching up the original Enterprise, Pike's Enterprise, because changing that, they are limited to what they can do with that. I think you'd agree. They can't do too much with Pike as a character, and they can't also do too much with his Enterprise, because that has to exist in the universe for X amount of years with Kirk and that. However, with the Enterprise F, if they do choose to introduce that, they've got limitless possibilities, basically, because although it's been introduced in STO, they can do whatever they want with it. And they could also do it in series. I agree.
Yeah.
Please.
I think that they're going to go with the Pike. I think they're going to go Pike.
Yes, obviously.
To do that strange new world exploration style. And you're right to say, like, it does put them in kind of a similar problem situation where they had with Discovery, where everything that they do could potentially jack around with canon in some kind of way, shape, or form. The best way they could do that, though, is to take Pike and put him and his Enterprise, the Disco Prize, as people like to call it, on their next 5-year mission. Because I think by the end of Discovery Season 2, we still had 9 or 8 years before Kirk was to take command. And that's plenty of time in there for them to do one full 5-year mission. So the best way to avoid stepping on cannon toes is to take them into deep space and go off onto the Disco Prize adventure, which the Disco Prize was already fairly well received by a lot of Trek fans of saying, okay, this is a good way to upgrade a 1960s set to look a little bit more modern, but not crazy modern. And I think they've got the set, they've got the right actors, they've got the right, cast together, I should say. And I think that is the natural progression, and it's kind of a sure thing. People loved Pike. People had a lukewarm
definitely.
reaction to Spock. I think people loved number one, but they loved Pike, and it's a sure bet. I think that they're going to go that route, and I'm excited for it. I can't wait. I literally cannot wait for it.
I honestly, if they do a Pike series, hopefully it gets announced this year. I have a feeling it will, based on hints and information. So look out for it. And I think that could be a very good series because, the Enterprise is a core aspect of Star Trek, and so is Pike. Arguably, he was the first person in Star Trek on screen, essentially. He in the council or the taken off pilot, etc. So, an aired pilot, I should say. So having him on screen again would be great. I know Anson's definitely up for the series. Number one is even Peck with Spock. All those characters are up for it, and the short treks almost seem like they were setting it up in a way. They introduced us to Spock on number one. They introduced us to Ambit Carr's character of Cadet Faris Sadu, and also Pike himself. All of these things there, building it up, we could definitely see more. I feel like that.
The only thing they need to get rid of is that hideous green screen engine room that they showed.
Yes, get that over the door now.
that was rough. They need to fix that. But other than that, I think everything that they've done has been fantastic. So yeah, I can't wait for it. I think we're definitely going to get an announcement very soon, probably towards the middle or the end of Discovery, to kind of keep that buzz going as we roll into the next season of
SDC, San Diego Comic-Con as well, we'll probably see a big announcement. We've been discussing this.
For sure.
They do have Paleyfest coming up this next month for Star Trek Picard. Yep. I don't think we will see a major Trek announcement there unless it's Picard related, but I could be incorrect. But I don't think they're going to randomly go, yes, we're doing a Pike series, by the way. Sorry, you're here for Picard? No. I don't think that's going to go too well. Yeah. We might get some more information about Picard Season 2. Not another bloody prequel of Pike's Enterprise. The fans want it. A lot of people want Pike's Enterprise, and it is an area we've not explored before, but I know people aren't particularly keen on Enterprises and prequels for track history. Not too well, but I'd love to see it. But if we do have to have an Enterprise series, I'm all up for the Enterprise F, please. I would love it.
Yes. Yep.
Just want the Verity or the Odyssey on screen. There's my second request of the week.
Just digitally make it yourself.
I'm going to teach myself Blender and I have a model of the Odyssey from Hero Collector, so thank you to Hero Collector for making that one. And now I just need the XL version of that one.
Yeah.
Picard is a medical condition. Yes, this we've discussed this before. There's a video on our channel called Picard is Dying. If you would check that out, we do discuss the topic of that, his Iromadic syndrome. Let's see. Lots of comments in a minute. The chat's frozen, Can you switch to the chat still? Is there any questions? YouTube is freezing for me for some reason.
It says Enterprise J in Discovery, or are we going to have to wait another 20 years?
It's a good question.
I don't know if we're ever going to see the J. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I don't think we'll see another Enterprise in Discovery anytime soon. I think they definitely want to do their own thing for a minute. I can't comment on what Discovery stuff's come out recently, but I think we'll talk more about Discovery another time because we're talking about Picard today. I think there's going to be more Discovery news soon though, so we'll definitely be talking about that soon. Keep an eye out on our social medias. You can follow us, the Trek Central on Twitter and Trek Central on Instagram and Facebook. Keep an eye out for that for your latest news. Seven dead? Nope, I don't think she's dead. Picard becomes the EMH. I wouldn't want Picard as an EMH, to be honest. That would be it'd just be serving I'd love Picard as a waiter, emergency hologram. It'd just be serving me tea all day. I mean, I'd love that. What a great idea.
I like that.
Yeah, some more teaser. Sure. But hopefully we're going to see more VMHs. Episode 6 definitely has to answer the question of what happened to Maddox. I feel like, they can't just ignore him for an whole episode. Oh, should someone check up on Maddox? No, he's fine. No.
Yeah, so actually slipping into a little bit more about episode 6, what do you think the flashback is going to be for the beginning?
That's a good question. So obviously every episode's starting with a flashback. That is a very good question. I think I know what it is. We did get the exclusive scene from the Ready Room of Soji walking around her dad's house when she was younger. That's obviously probably a fabricated scene because we knew they were created certain things. It's a memory, a false memory in a way, somehow. There's still more to be explored around that. I think that's our flashback scene for this week. Her exploring her dad's apartment, etc. Or it could be a dream, I could be wrong. If not, I reckon it might be a flashback scene of Picard being assimilated or something related to the Borg. Those are my two options.
I would say that I think that's going to be Maddox focused. I think they're actually going to have him they're going to reveal a little bit more about the plot through a flashback sequence of Maddox, either him originally creating the Asha twins or him working on more than just the Asha twins, and that there's maybe like they pan the camera to like a room full of other androids sitting in there. I think that's what we're going to kind of see. I think it's going to be Maddox focused. I don't think they just brought him in for that a few sequences. I think he's going to have a flashback and kind of set up
Hopefully
potentially some of that existential crisis that Soji's going to have throughout this episode, where Narek is trying to break her and make her realize that she's an android. So I think it's going to kind of set some of that up. That's my thought.
I agree there. Maddox flashback could serve very well, and the flashbacks are a central part of this series, which is good because, excuse me, I would love to see more of that, and seeing more of the past, of what's been in this 20-year gap is great for lore, and those of us who love continuity and exploring how everything takes place, and also the timelines as well. Love putting them together. That's going to be a fun video for us to do, the timeline. Oh, I look forward to that one. It's so complicated. But yeah, a lot of people asking how Jurati is going to explain about Maddox's death. There's definitely going to be answered in episode 6. If they shied away from it, it would be really weird. So they're definitely going to answer that and see what it's like. But how she works her way out of that one is going to be good, and whether she's been like almost like programmed to do the action, and whether maybe she forgets it herself or something, that could be an interesting theory.
I mean, for all we know, she may try to dip out after this. Like, she may not try to hide it at all, and she may try to flee the ship.
I'm off.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. It's definitely going to come up, obviously, but
Definitely.
how they're going to get around that, and obviously the evidence provided by the EMH backing up the situation, I don't know how they're going to, but it's obviously going to come up. I'm sure. Hey, so what happened? He was fine when I was here. And
I was here
left
2 minutes ago.
Then he was dead. I'm just going to review the tape on that. Yeah.
I wonder if like Rios will give the EMH a bollocking, just like, what the hell did you happen this time? Bloody EMH.
Right, exactly. I know.
He hates some of those emergency holograms on his ship, so this one's probably not going to get a very good talking to.
I don't think he likes any of them, to be honest. It's.
I wonder
but in
how
a fun
many
way,
more
though.
he has, though. So we've got Emmett, the hospitality one, the navigation one, and the EMH. That's 4 so far, if I'm thinking correctly. I wonder how many else he has, because a lot of people have been joking that Rios himself is an EMH. I don't think that's... Then again, we've not seen him leave the ship yet. Oh, no, sorry, we have seen him in Free Cloud. What the fuck am I talking about? I don't think he's in... He probably has one of himself somehow, I bet. Maybe for the pilot of the ship when he wants to, like, sit in the chair and not do anything. But,
he might have one of himself, but I don't think he is. And the only reason I say just because when we first get introduced to him, he's got that shrapnel in his arm. And if he was a hologram, he would just not have that, unless it was like a ploy to try to convince Picard that he was human. But they haven't established why he would try to trick Picard into thinking he was a human. So I don't think he is. No, I don't think that's what.
Speaking
I don't think
about Rios a bit more there, we still have to learn a lot more about him, because we learned in episode 2 there, is it episode 2 or 3? Episode 3, sorry. I'm forgetting. There's so much stuff going by each week. Episode 3, he had a captain. His ship, was wiped from records mysteriously, relating to that, and his captain, was killed. He was a first officer, so a high rank. He was either a lieutenant commander or a commander himself. So something's gone on in his past. Hopefully we do learn more about that, and it's just not one of those lines that's written and forgotten about. But I have a feeling of the way the writers and the production team are handling this series so far, that point is definitely going to come up at a later date and explore. And I'm excited for that, to explore his ship and the mystery surrounding that. Mystery ships. There's a track in the soundtrack called that, so even more.
I don't know if they're going to go into the mystery. I don't know if they're going to... Yeah, I think that they're going to address it. I don't know how
it's involved in
far
the conspiracy.
It might be involved with a conspiracy, because we don't know exactly what the circumstances were. Yeah, Raffi knew him from something, and they've obviously kind of connected, and they have a very deep bond as well. So how they met is very interesting. And I don't know if they're going to get super into what happened with his ship, or if they're going to shift the focus to his emotional reaction to just seeing his friends being hurt. I don't know how they're going to kind of go through that, but yeah, I agree. They're going to have to explore it. Maybe not this season. I don't know, but we got season 2, so that's 10 more episodes.
It'll be interesting to see how many plot lines are going to go over to season 2. Whether everything's going to get wrapped up, or some are left, by themselves essentially to continue on to season 2. Because it's a dangerous thing to do in a way, because you don't want to leave people sat around asking questions for a long time. But it's also a smart thing to do. You want people to actively think what's coming next for your series, because that's going to give them more incentive to watch it. However, I don't know, some stuff shouldn't be left across seasons, I feel. But I don't know, it'd be interesting to see more about Rios. I want to hear about his ship and like what happened there. There's a story there. I want to hear it. I love it when writing does that. Just as one little line is giving us an entire little story behind Rios. And for me, that's some fantastic writing by Michael Chabon, who wrote episode 3. So, give me more.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I want more. Yeah, I agree.
Let me in. Episode 5. What is your final rating of episode 5 out of 10? What would you give it?
Out of 10, I would put it at a solid 8.
That's the same as me
right now. Yeah,
I'd give it a solid 8.
It's at.
So some stellar scenes in an episode. Guys in the chat, feel free to tell us what you think of episode 5. I was going to say 8 then, we're not that far yet. Feel free to rate it, 1 being worst, 10 being the absolute best Star Trek show or episode you've ever watched. Feel free to put your numbers in the chat now. Thank you to everyone who's donated tonight. We are going to begin wrapping up a stream here, but if you do have any extra questions to ask us, what we think of Star Trek Picard or anything like that, feel free to comment in the chat now and we'll be sure to answer some of them. So I'm saying no badges. They don't have communicator badges anymore. No, communicators have changed now, which is interesting. But it's the future. Things change.
The little La Serena little pin that they're wearing, that's the badge. That's what they're using as their communicator badge. And I mentioned that in my review of episode 4, that I wish we had a sequence where Rios gives the badge to Picard and kind of explains what it is and maybe the symbology behind the name of the ship and why he chose to do the mermaid and all that stuff like that. I think that there's something there, but I feel like that may have been a scene that probably got cut for pacing. But yeah, that's the badge. That's for sure.
I hope at some point, if this series does go to Blu-ray or something like that, we do get deleted scenes released, or StarTrek.com is going to release them. Yes. I would love to see extra stuff behind this and what gets cut. Because we know Jeff Russo himself mentioned that certain things had been tweaked or edited for time. Like the reason you don't hear Seven's Voyager theme part when she beams on in episode 4 was it was sadly edited out. You do hear a slight little bit of it, but you don't hear the full thing like you do in episode 5 because it's been edited down. So most likely there have been things cut at some points. I would love to see that, so we will have to wait and see. Alright, there's an average answer of about 7 to 8. I'm seeing the average today probably going to be an 8, I think. So everyone agrees with us?
Yeah.
8 out of 10 for this episode. Well, there you go, everyone. That is your opinions on that. I definitely agree. 8 out of 10. A fantastic episode. I can't wait to see what episode 6 does. Dominic Burgess. I hope to pronounce your name right. I'm so sorry. Big hello from Mr. Vup. So Dominic, who's in the chat right now, actually played Mr. Vup in Star Trek Picard. I presume that is the same account, if not. Dominic, hello. Thank you for tuning in. So we didn't actually talk about Mr. Vup at all, which I feel slightly embarrassed about now. But his character was interesting. I liked it, though. It was his portrayal of it was very interesting and like, hey, I can smell you.
Yeah, it was a fun character because it was something unique, but also we got everything we needed to know about that species, his character, and everything about it, all within a very small amount of time. And I liked it. I thought it was kind of a fun twist to kind of heighten the tension of what they were trying to do, because they couldn't just bluff their way into it. They had to kind of work to try to circumnavigate some of these other hurdles that were kind of going on inside of, the bar / nightclub that our villainess was hiding in. I thought it was fun. Like, I thought it was good. I think it added an extra layer, like I said, of tension there. So I mentioned this in my review. I wish that the characters in the bar sequence that were running this organization didn't die. I wish we had got to spend more time with them later on in this
they
season.
Escape and you pop back up later like, hey, we have a bone to pick with you.
Right, exactly. Like a long-standing kind of secondary villains that would have I think that would have added a little bit more depth to it, but I also understand why they want to try to keep things a little bit more focused on the overall plot without leaving too much out there, because there is so much already still out there. So yeah, it's just a personal thing of mine.
It could be, various things. The in the scene, the bartender, whoever the actor was who played the bartender, I recognize him from something before, and I need to check the IMDb later. I recognize that actor from something I've watched before, and you must get this as well when you watch a show and you think, I know that face. Absolutely no idea where it's from, though. So I need to check the IMDb later. That bloke, I've seen him somewhere before, and it's killing me. But yeah, Mr. Vup, fantastic character. Would have liked to have seen more of him, but his ending was a little bit too quick. But I love interaction between him and Rios. Is like, Mr. Vup already knows you're here, and he suddenly appears out of nowhere behind him. However, big bloke can walk up and suddenly appear behind Rios. Stealth.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. He's very stealthy for a big lumbering guy.
Right, final 10-minute
sure.
topics here. I've been seeing a comment online. I want to discuss this with you. A lot of people
Sure.
are saying that Seven's relationship with the woman who were called Jay, so I'm not saying her full name because I'll mispronounce it and it'll be a diplomatic incident. There was some sort of relationship between Seven of Nine and that character there. A lot of people saying it's like a lesbian relationship or some sort of like relationship like that, and how that breaks canon. I personally didn't pick up on any type of relationship like that. Definitely they knew each other somehow and she trusted him somewhere, but I didn't think there was any form of relationship like that. What was your opinions on that sort of matter?
No, they were definitely banging. That's for sure.
You think so?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's
Okay.
definitely what they were kind of. I think they alluded to that with her calling her Annika, and then it was also
I guess so,
the
yeah.
allusion to of we know each other very well, some kind of something like that. And I got that, but her being a lesbian is not what I gathered from that.
Yeah, I probably should say bisexual to be correct if I'm saying that.
Yeah,
Apologies.
a lot of people are saying, "Oh, she's a lesbian." They broke, but that's not the case. Clearly, they're not trying to erase her past
No.
relationship history with other characters, and I don't think that they're trying to pigeonhole anybody into one particular label, because obviously, even as we know, as far Star Trek has a very wide expanse of understanding, and I think has in some regards dropped labels in some ways.
Yeah.
um I don't it didn't bother me at all, and it didn't seem too peculiar, and it makes sense in some regards. Like,
True.
it's just this is life, and that's how things are sometimes. And I thought it was an interesting twist that Seven allowed herself to be taken advantage of in that way, which created more of that hatred that she had towards the villainess. And I thought it was fine. I didn't have any issues with it.
Yeah, I
bat an
didn't
eye.
have any issues with it. Obviously, I just didn't even pick it up myself. I just saw the comments online. When I'll be doing my rewatch later, probably tonight maybe, I'll see if I can, pick up that scene a little bit more, because it completely oblivious me. And then I saw these comments online. I'm like, well, I didn't pick that up. What? What's going on here?
Yeah.
And a lot of people like confused by saying it was a lesbian relationship, bisexual. Because we know we had a relationship with Chakotay in the end of Voyager, which a lot of people say was a bit weird for them to suddenly spring that one out of nowhere. And I know there's a big discussion of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting, and I don't think it breaks canon anyway. And there's nothing wrong with them expanding on the characters like that. You've got to think there's a large gap between Voyager Returned and when we now see Seven in 2399. Voyager Returned
Yes.
in, is it 2379 or 2378? No, it would have been 2376. I forget the date off the top of my head. Someone in the chat might correct me. It definitely returned before Nemesis, because obviously Admiral Janeway is shown in Nemesis. So there's a large
sure.
gap there of what character's been up to. Seven could have met this woman. She obviously knew her before Icheb met his demise. So she's known her for a long time. So something definitely could have happened there. Yeah, a lot of people saying that short treks, and what we're going to explore about that. I think
awesome.
short treks. I think there's definitely going to be a third season of them, because they love doing those little experimental things. And thanks to the short treks, we've got Michael Chabon as a showrunner for season 1 of Picard. He did write Calypso, which is arguably one of the best short treks out there, if not the best. A lot of people are saying. So I definitely think we're going to see more of them. It's a little test bed for CBS. So I would love to see them do more Picard content in short treks. It's definitely either exploring Icheb or more Laris and Shaban. Who knows?
Yes. Oh yes, please.
CSI
yes,
Laris.
Please. Yeah, we'll just have a short trek dedicated to following around number 1 for the whole day, living a life of a dog on the vineyard. I'm down for that too. Anything. Yeah, more Picard short treks. I'm excited.
Yeah, it was definitely, this episode as a whole definitely expand on canon and introduce a lot of this. Anyway, everyone, we are going to be wrapping our stream here, as we've gone a lot over time tonight with our discussion, but thank you very much for being a very entertaining stream chat. Hopefully everyone tuned in and enjoyed this chat. Thank you for all your donations tonight. Remember, we do have YouTube memberships open now if you'd like to come on board and join us and support the channel even further, definitely for our coverage of upcoming events like Star Trek Las Vegas and many more. Thank you to everyone who's donated tonight, and also all of you in the chat for being a fantastic audience as per. Awesome. Dom says, I can see Siobhan coming back to do short treks. Yes, I agree. Keep going with short treks. It would be fantastic. Ketwolski, Nick, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you've enjoyed episode 5, and I'm sure we'll be back next week to discuss episode 6. It's going to be fantastic. Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. You can also check out our website for brand new articles every week. And also, we do have a brand new community Discord server now. Come join that if you want to continue the discussion with us about everything Star Trek. I've been Captain Jack. Join me, Mr. Ketwolski. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.